Get good grades, go to a reputable school, get a secure job with benefits, work hard, and you'll be set for life. It's the standard blueprint for success we're all handed at birth. But if you look closely at the people following it, you'll notice a massive problem. For most, this supposed path to prosperity is actually a psychological trap, a perfectly designed system that guarantees a lifetime of financial anxiety. Now, you might be thinking, of course I need a job, I have bills to pay. That is exactly the mindset Robert Kiyosaki challenges in his landmark book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kiyosaki grew up with two very different models of success. His biological father, who he calls his poor dad, did everything right according to society. He was highly educated, eventually becoming the head of education for the state of Hawaii. He had a steady government paycheck, yet he struggled his entire life, constantly repeating the phrase, "I can't afford it." Then there was his best friend's father, his rich dad. This man never finished the 8th grade. Instead of climbing a corporate ladder, he built his own businesses. And he flat out banned the words, "I can't afford it," in his house. Instead, he forced his kids to ask, "How can I afford it?" to force their brains to look for solutions. When the highly educated academic is the one barely scraping by, and the middle school dropout is the one building an empire, you have to realize the standard rules of money are broken. There is a glitch in the system. To understand how this glitch works, Kiyosaki points to a lesson he learned at 9 years old. He and his friend Mike had asked Mike's father, the rich dad, to teach them how to make money. The boys took the phrase literally, melting down the lead from empty toothpaste tubes to cast counterfeit nickels in plaster molds. Rich Dad caught them, laughed, and offered a brutal, real-world alternative. He told the boys they could work in one of his convenience stores for 3 hours every Saturday. The pay? A measly 10 cents an hour. Remember, this was Hawaii in the 1950s. The store didn't have air conditioning, the doors stayed open to the street, meaning every time a car drove by, a fresh layer of dust settled over everything. The boys spent their weekends sweating in the tropical heat, mindlessly brushing dust off canned goods and stacking them back on the shelves. By the 4th week, Robert was done. He was missing his Little League games, and 30 cents a week wasn't even enough to buy comic books. He marched into Rich Dad's office, furious, fully intending to demand a raise or quit on the spot. He felt used and underappreciated. But as Rich Dad calmly pointed out, complaining and demanding more money is the predictable reaction of almost every employee on Earth. Instead of offering a raise to keep his young worker happy, Rich Dad did the exact opposite. He told Robert that from now on, he would work those same 3 hours in the sweltering store for absolutely nothing, 0 cents an hour. Rich Dad instills the trap. Fear of unpaid rent pushes people into jobs they despise. They trade time for a paycheck, but instantly desire takes over. They buy comforts to numb exhaustion. Desires scale up. The cycle continues. When fear and greed pull the strings, your employer owns your emotions. You are simply chasing a carrot forever. By removing the paycheck entirely, Rich Dad removed the carrot. Working for free broke Robert's addiction to a wage. Without the promise of a few dimes to soothe his ego, his brain was forced to look for opportunities to generate cash on his own. While working his unpaid shift, Robert noticed a distributor coming in and cutting the covers off unsold comic books to throw them away. Robert asked if he could keep the discarded issues, and the distributor agreed, as long as they weren't resold. Robert and Mike took those free comics and opened a library in Mike's basement. They hired Mike's younger sister to manage the door, charging the neighborhood kids 10 cents admission. For that dime, a kid could sit and read as many comics as they wanted for 2 solid hours. The operation was a massive success. The boys generated nearly $10 a week in profit. Best of all, they didn't even have to be in the room. They had built a small, self-sustaining system. Their money was finally working for them. A traditional job serves a practical purpose. The real threat to your future is making financial decisions based on emotional reactions to fear and greed. Escaping the rat race requires stepping back. You have to detach logic from the anxiety of paying your monthly bills, and instead direct your energy toward building or acquiring systems that generate cash while you sleep. So if working harder and getting a better job isn't the answer, what actually separates the people who build real wealth from everyone else? Rich Dad said it comes down to one single concept, and it's something you were never shown in school. That's next. Subscribe to Page to Pixel, like this video, and comment below. What's one thing your parents told you about money that you now think was completely wrong?